related to sort of your moment of seeing that, oh, Solana maybe is different, right? Where it, like, I thought it was cool that you mentioned experimenting with so many different chains, and it sounds like you guys still do, right? Still build in different environments a little bit, but you had this moment where you're like, Solana's different. I'd love to zoom into that a little bit, and like, what was it? You mentioned a couple broad things, performance, that sort of thing, but like, what really made you think, wow, Solana might be the real deal? All of this was fun to experiment with, but like, we might actually want to push forward more intentionally with Solana.
Yeah, so I vividly remember what was it, and I think it's important to like preface that like, it's not something that you just like say, hey, I think this is better or this is better. Like, I think we like had the opportunity to like holistically evaluate a new technology, because we were like beforehand building on like more than 10 non-EVM blockchains. So we've seen all the architecture patterns, we've seen all the trade-offs made, and we've seen well, some of them made our lives easier, some of them made our lives harder. But I think the aha moment from Solana was like, I obviously studied computer science and software engineering, and I think one of my favorite courses was like parallel software. And when I just like high level went into Solana's like parallel runtime and needing to like specify what accounts are readable, what accounts are writable, and that like little overhead the developer needs to make for the underlying like execution layer to be so performant, that wasn't something that we've seen before. And that was something like that made us think, wow, this is like something like significantly different. Obviously, there were like an array of reasons after that we've seen how like, okay, you might need like a few $100s more to run a validator, but like these benchmarks are like more insane than anything else that you're trying to build. We've also like compared to relevant benchmarks of other blockchains, and we even run these benchmarks, and we've seen that like Solana wasn't lying on their benchmarks as some others might have been at the time, because like most of the benchmarks are like they don't make any sense. It's like, okay, like we're gonna run 1 trillion transactions and not do any like deduplication or signature verification. Like that's not gonna work on a production system. Like that, blockchains just don't work like that. So like that we previously like did like Rust work on some other blockchains, but we sort of like the programming model of like how we implement like programs in Rust. And yeah, there's probably like a bunch of reasons, but we've seen that the fees are so low, and they're not low because like it's a governance parameter that is just for the time being until the network gets saturated. I think that like the reasoning why the fees are so low, because like a signature verification is the most expensive operation within a transaction. We're like, this has a solid chance of fees staying that low, and this has a solid chance of achieving throughput as on benchmarks. And this has the speed of 400 millisecond block times that we are already seeing at like early days of mainnet in 2020. So that plus, I think what was like very important for us is like receptiveness and responsiveness from the founding team in Discord. I think we even were like, I think we just like threw some like, oh, it would be so cool if we had like this RPC endpoint behave like this, and like the team actually implemented that. So like that sort of like receptiveness we honestly haven't seen in other ecosystems that we were building in before.